5 things off the wall.
That's us, man. 24/7.
You should expect the unexpected. I mean,
Make it known that this is all about being 100% authentic.
We are live now.
So with that being said, let's jump right in. Yo, welcome to another episode of 5 Things Off the Wall. I am your boy, D. Wills.
Peace, beautiful people. It's your boy, Dev.
What's up, man? It's Walt. And Derek, your name is actually Keith Killjoy, according to the screen. Thank you very much.
Haters. All right.
What up, everyone? It's your girl, Crystal, aka C-Mac, as they like to
All right. Yeah. Welcome to another episode. And if you have not joined us, or if this is your first time joining us, please take a moment, opportunity to subscribe to the podcast. We're on all platforms and we love our listeners. So we would love to gain some new ones. And if you have listened to us and you have missed a few episodes, please go back and check those out. We got some good content for you.
Yo,
So
Keith, hold up, man. We
What
on
up?
YouTube. We on YouTube now, man.
oh yeah, we're on YouTube
Hold
too,
on.
baby.
Hold on.
We making moves.
Did Walt
What up?
even introduce himself? Did I miss that?
Yeah, I introduced
Yeah, he
myself.
did.
You don't listen
All
to
right,
me.
cool. All right.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. What? I didn't even just hear what you just said.
Can we introduce
All
our
right.
guest, please?
Yeah. So we are on YouTube now. So check us out on YouTube also, and that is 5 Things Off the Wall on YouTube. So you can see what we're doing behind the scenes. So today is another great day in the history of 5 Things Off the Wall because we have our second guest of the show, and
All
so
right.
I'm gonna throw Walt an alley-oop, and I'm gonna let him do this introduction.
Too short for alley-oop, brother, but I'll take it. So today we have another great friend of mine. Me and this young lady go back decades, man. Talking about, 1997, 98, 95? Sheesh. You getting old, Berta. We got the entrepreneur, the Fitspiration Maven herself. Is Maven the right term for that? Is that
Maven is
appropriate term? Maven, is that sufficient to describe you?
I've never called myself a maven, but go ahead.
All right, we're gonna roll with it, man. I think Maven's a good. I'll look it up and then we'll make sure. And if not, I'll retract it later. Don't worry about it. I'll edit it out. But we got Roberta Tabb, the author, the e-commerce businesswoman herself, man. She's
She's
here
the
to join
boss.
us, man.
She's the boss.
She is a boss, man.
There
She's
you go.
been all over the place, man. Do you know how great it is when you can open up a nationally published article in a magazine because you see your friend on the cover? You're like, you know how great that is? Not once, but like you was in People magazine, like 3 times, brother?
Like 5, but
5.
Ooh, 5.
My bad.
Who's counting?
My bad. Nobody's counting.
And Walt, I don't know how I feel because most of my friends are in low places. So
Look, man, stop. Cut it out. So I'm in the store with my family. And I always like doing this with my kids. It makes me feel like I'm way cooler than what I really am. So I'm in the store with my wife and my kids. And I was like, yo, there go Berta. So I tell my kids, I'm like, hey, guys, I know her. No, you don't, Daddy. I'm like, yes, I do. I know her. So then I got to go through Facebook and pull up pictures like, see, I told you I know her. They're like, whatever, Daddy. But now I could really be like, yeah, I told y'all I know her. They won't believe it. My daughter doesn't think I'm cool. So
Anybody can be a Facebook friend.
see, you're a hater.
I'm just
A
saying.
little bit of hate.
To the kids' point.
Look,
Right.
Berta's a Shinley Spartan, man.
So it's
Come on.
Shinley Spartan. So tell our listeners what a Shinley Spartan is.
That is the greatest high school in the entire city of Pittsburgh that is no more. How about
Okay.
that? The greatest
All
high
right.
school. If you know a better high school in Pittsburgh, you tell them they lying.
All right.
Shinley
So
High
That
School.
it is no more. What is, you mean like it's no longer?
Because apparently they say there was asbestos in the building. Whatever. They're liars. They just wanted to sell it, make some money.
You know
they
you
turned
owe-
it into apartment buildings though. Like if
Yes.
they're apartments now.
It's crazy.
Hopefully-
They didn't tear it down. They're
Okay.
selling classrooms for like $2,000-$3,000 now. You could rent a classroom for like $2,000-$3,000. But it's really nice. It's really nice. Like if you go home, I mean, Bert, I know you said, before we got on, you don't really go home much. But like everybody I know from Shinley. Like they make it a point to go back and see the changes to the building, and you get to tour.
I saw pictures on Facebook. That's enough for me. I'm good.
Nah, it's crazy. I want to go in there, man. I want to go in there.
Tina went in there. Tina posted pictures of her in there. That's enough for me. She put like 47 pictures up. That was plenty.
I want to go in there and like low key print out some old pictures from what it used to be and just like kind of put them in random places, like tape them in the bathroom when the walls used to have weed side written on it. Like, here go your hallway, weed side. Put it right there. I want to do that.
Weed side high. So we're gonna learn a little bit.
You're a hater.
Hey, that's what you said, right?
I didn't say that. See?
So
I'm just gonna say, you know, you old when your high school don't exist no more.
Right.
Not to you, Roberta. That's to Walt, not to you. I'm just saying when your high
Roberta,
school is no longer
because Walt, he was about 3 or 4 classes ahead of you, right?
He did graduate before me. He did graduate before me. He definitely graduated before me. We were not the same class. So
Roberta, don't let people use you.
All right. All right, so
I will say this. Shout out to Berta's class because they put out some really dope people. Berta's doing her own thing as an entrepreneur, which is really great. She's got 2 books. She's got the app now, which is pretty dope. Sharice got her whole French toast thing going on. Like Sharice got a shout out from Jaleel White, right? Did she? Urkel?
Yeah. Do you? No. I put a plug for you. You'll get that interview too.
Word. Boom.
Got it. I'm actually hanging out with her this weekend, so you'll get that interview too.
Please, I want that one.
Yep, you got it.
That's what's the name of the business?
Local artisan foods. She sells French toast bites.
Yep. And she's got her own season and everything. It's pretty dope.
All right.
She's about to release a French toast bites beer. All sorts of things. You'll get the interview. She'll tell you all about it.
Okay. All right. So, but what brings us to today's show is Miss Roberta Tabb. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know Walt kind of gave us some bits and pieces, but tell us who you are, what you're doing, a little bit about where you started and came from.
I'm not sure where I should start. So yeah, I have 2 books. I have an app that I just launched and developed during the pandemic. I'm actually a web designer, e-commerce web designer. I work for Lacoste. I think that's important to mention simply because all of the skills that I've ascertained like during my career as a designer or doing multimedia, all of those skills are the same skills that I use when I'm like creating a book or creating an app or things like that. So I think that's very important to mention. Walt mentioned that I was in People magazine. So long time ago, like back when I lived in Pittsburgh, 18 years ago or whatever, I was overweight. So I lost like 100 pounds by myself, like all through like diet and exercise. And that was like before it was cool to like be fit. That was before Instagram, before Pinterest, where you could look up like diets and recipes and things like that. And someone like my doctor like told People magazine my story. And from then on, they featured me. They featured me once in a huge issue. And then they kept coming back to check on me to see how I was doing. And every time they checked on me, like I had like just released a book or something, or I had just launched a blog. So every time that happened, they would feature me again. So to that point, I always tell people, you know, you just have to stay ready like all the time. There was always something that I was working on. There was always something like in the mix that I had to like offer the world.
All right.
Yo, that's amazing. So it seems like you have a drive that many people don't have, and a drive that leads to success for you. What fuels your drive?
So I talk about this a lot. I honestly think that any of the drive, ambition, motivation, all of it comes from like just my journey and like losing weight. So it happened a very long time ago, but it's something that I'd struggled with for years and I never thought I could accomplish. Like, I mean, you try, 100 times and you fail and you fail and you fail. And then that last time it just sticks, and it's kind of like, wow, I can't believe I actually did that. Like, I can't believe I'm actually doing it. So in my opinion, there has been nothing harder that I needed to achieve than going through life and, losing weight and keeping the weight off, and then using that story to inspire others. So I always hold on to the idea that I did something that I completely thought was impossible, and it kind of fuels me for the rest of my projects. That's like, if I'm interviewing for a job, if I'm starting a new personal project, any of those things, it's like, well, you did this really crazy, hard thing that so many people are striving to do, and you were able to enhance yourself and keep the weight off for like all of this time. So there's nothing that you can't do if you put your mind to it.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So so a lot of people, right? They may be motivated to accomplish something, to do something. They may have a goal, and fear always comes in and stops them. It's like a walking into a brick wall. And oftentimes with fear, it paralyzes people, right? And so they don't take that next step. Was there any point in your journey, and let's just start with your initial journey, but then think about the other things that you accomplished, whether it be the app that you created, or even writing the book. Was there any time that fear crept in and maybe you got doubtful and you almost didn't push through on completing something?
I think that I'm a super personal person. So a lot of the projects that I work on, probably even when I was losing weight, I didn't really express what I was doing to other people. I think fear comes a lot from the expectations of other people. Like, I'm afraid to fail because, my family will think like XYZ or whatever. I think for me, I've never really had a fear of failure because I failed so many times, and I knew that I would just start again, like over and over again. So I can't think of a time when I was like really scared to do something. With projects after like losing weight, I think that I go into them fearless. Like, I don't have any fear, because like for me, I always ask myself, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't get the job that I really wanted. I'm still here. I still get to be me. I'll just try again. With the app, oh, maybe the code doesn't work, and the app store won't submit the app, and they'll tell me I have to do it all over again. I'm not gonna die. Like, I'll just do it all over again. There's the question I always ask myself is, what's the worst that could happen? And the answer is never death. So I have to go into things like fearlessly. That was a good question, because I've never actually thought about that before.
Yeah, and I guess if death was on the table, you'd probably think twice about it, right?
So
I'd be a little scared. Yeah, I'd be a little fearful.
Speaking of death, Berta, do you think that Pittsburgh played a part in that? Because when we were growing up, that was a big part of the city. Gangs, drugs, shooting, stuff like that. That was a common occurrence. And we kind of, you and I, we operated in a better time in high school, but like just before we got there, it was pretty sketchy there, So do you think the environment that Pittsburgh created, the old Pittsburgh, because it didn't like that now, it's way different. Do you think that played a part in your level of fearlessness?
I don't know. Because I have to say, I grew up really sheltered. I mean, you might not know, like, I'm sure people don't know, but I actually like came from the projects. Like, when I was born, we lived in the projects. We lived in the Homewood projects for like 5 years, and then we moved to the north side. So living in the projects, my parents kept us extra sheltered. Like, we didn't see like anything. Like, we were poor, but we didn't really know we were poor because we always had everything that we needed. So I can't say that I was really subjected to kind of like the fearful, like, Pittsburgh. I mean, I knew things were happening around me, but I actually, wasn't in the middle of it.
All right. And see, that's what I mean, I guess. And I tell, the fellas and Crystal all the time, like, I really think my life in Pittsburgh changed the way I look at a lot of things. There's so many things I'm just not afraid of, because I remember when I first got to South Carolina, it was like, why is everybody so nice? I mean, Derek, Crystal, I know y'all can speak. I mean, Devin, Crystal, y'all can speak to that, because it was like, why is everybody so nice? Why is everybody smiling and happy and wanting to say what's up all the time? I'm like, yo, this is crazy. It's weird to me. And it was like, I could remember on Lincoln Ave, like, you didn't speak to people you didn't know. If I went to Homewood or if I went to the Hill, if I didn't know people, I just didn't speak to them. It was different. So it was like you developed a really hard exterior moving through the city. You know what I mean? And that sense of independence, like, I know I had a huge sense of independence. I caught the city bus everywhere I had to go, didn't have access. I had access to a car, but I really couldn't drive it whenever I wanted to. So I had that level of independence. So when I say, do you think your experience shaped how you approach these different challenges? I mean, like, more so as a young adult, not necessarily as a child. I mean, I grew up similar to you. My parents ain't let me know we ain't had much. Knew the crazy was going on, but they kept us from it for the most part. But as I got older, it was like you had to know how to navigate different things on your own. Like, you wasn't always going to have a support team. You know what I mean? What you said, do you think that played a part? Like, because at Shinley, you from the north side, I was from Lincoln, like, we was outsiders.
Yeah, no, I think definitely growing up the way that we did, I think we got to be really independent. Like you said, taking the bus, I had a job since I was like 14, like you really did have to learn how to navigate, like, on your own. I don't think that you can do that there now. I'm not, my sister doesn't let her kids do that, but I actually am thankful for those experiences where, it's Saturday and we're catching 3 buses to go to Century 3 Mall. It's a different world now than it was before, but
Right.
I think I'm definitely grateful for those experiences. Once, I got older, all I knew was that I wanted to move out of Pittsburgh, because I knew every place couldn't be like this place. Like, I was like, there's got to be something better than this. So I knew that I wanted to leave. And I think that independence that I had, like, as a teenager kind of prepared me to come to New York. Like, I came here by myself. I literally came here with a savings and no job, and I had to hit the ground running. So, I mean, it's a tough place, like, especially if you're new here.
So I have I have 2 questions and a statement. So the first question is, what are you drinking? Because it looked like you had some fruit or something in your water, or is that water?
That's infused vodka.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is infused water.
Okay.
And this is the vodka.
Nice.
Because I knew I see something in the bottom.
This is infused water. This has lemon, mint, and pomegranate seeds in it.
Oh.
So this is like, so my first book, Simply Tabtastic, is it's meal prep. It's meal prep. And they're like, I think there are 5 or 6 different infused water recipes in here. So I make 6 of these like every Sunday so I can like drink them throughout the week. So that I'm like, I don't drink anything except for water, like when I'm home, unless it's a special occasion, like now when I'm drinking vodka. So it spruces up, the water that I drink all day.
Okay. I'm like, I knew I seen something down there. But then I also seen something that didn't have any fruit in it. So I'm like, okay, what she got going on over there? My statement that I want to make is your eyebrows are off the chain. Coming from somebody who has caterpillars right now because of this quarantine, those eyebrows are the bomb. So if y'all are listening to the podcast, make your way over to YouTube and look at these eyebrows. These eyebrows are the bomb.
Oh, thank you. I just plucked them and color them in a little bit, but thank you.
They look great. So my question for you is, as a Black woman, and it sounds like you have, you've really, beat a lot. You've overcome a lot. And with you saying that you went to New York on a savings, and of course not knowing how things were going to go out, but of course you said what else can happen? The worst that can happen is I don't get the job I want. But as a Black woman, you know that we face a lot of things. And with you going to New York, being a Black woman, being such a big city, a lot of competition, what are some things that you've endured there or in your career and your success? What have you endured that have kind of helped you with where you are now? What are some things that you've had to face? And if you had to give some advice to somebody like me or other Black women that are listening, what would you have to say?
Okay, so I think the first bit of advice that I'd give anybody that wanted to move to New York is to be prepared. For me, being prepared in my mind was having an education. You know, like I got an undergrad degree in like art, and then I got a master's degree in writing, right? So I'm like, okay, now finally I'm ready. I think I have enough education to move to New York. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but like that's the first bit of advice that I'd give people is to be prepared. The second is to be confident, because like you said, there is a lot of competition here. Literally, like on LinkedIn, when I've applied for jobs in the past, you can see the pool of people that you're in competition with. For example, when I applied for a job at Lacoste, I think the pool was like 553 applicants or something, and it told me that I was in like the top 10% of the applicants that had applied, right? So me between, you know, however the top 10 applicants, say they brought in 7 people, we're all qualified to do the job. They've looked at all of our portfolios before we got there, right? Why would they pick me over picking, you know, this other girl with the same qualifications as me? Confidence, charm, you have to be likable, like that, it actually matters. And especially being a Black woman. And I'm a Black woman with a tattoo on her neck, okay? I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a tattoo on my neck that I don't hide, that I don't cover up, right? So and that's a choice that I made. I wouldn't do it again. But I'm saying that, you know, I have to overcompensate for having a tattoo on my neck in an interview. I'm a creative, but like, give me a break, right?
Stereotypes and all of that, like, oh, she's gonna be one of them.
Yeah,
exactly. So those are the 2 bits of advice that I would give. Be prepared and be very confident. Things that I've had to endure, I don't know. I mean, I think it's the same sorts of things that everybody has to endure. I can't say that in my field that I've ever felt like I didn't get a job because I was Black. Mm-hmm. And I'll say that because what I do is very specific and very like specialized. So talent is talent. Like in other positions, you know, you don't actually have like a portfolio that they're looking at to see how creative you are, you know? They're not looking at, you know, how you represent like another brand. Like you just have yourself, but I have myself and I have a portfolio, right? So I think in my field, you know, early on, people were just interested in what brands I had worked for, the type of work that I did, you know, how many people were viewing my work on the regular. I mean, because if I'm working for a website, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people, you know, are depending on whatever I put on a website, whatever I put on a web page, you know, daily to shop through. So I think I don't want to like cop out and say it was like easy, because it wasn't, but I'm saying that I can't say that there's something that I specifically could point out that I had to kind of like overcome with what I do. I do know that I had to be super confident. I know I had to walk in any room and act like I owned it. I know I had to be charming, you know. So I'll say that you can never come off as like an angry or like, you know, angry Black woman or like being so stern. So I do have to make sure that I'm always smiling and that, you know, I kind of have like a cheery vibe to me. So maybe that's something that I don't even look at it as overcoming. Like I guess I'm so used to having to make myself, you know, seem softer so that I'm not catering into that stereotype, that it's not something that I'm overcoming, because it's something that I always have to do, even though it is something that I've had to overcome. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You had to do
what I'll say about Berta, like I think it's kind of Like, she didn't say it, but I think it's kind of evident in how she's describing it. It's about the presentation. You know what I mean? Like, what are you presenting to the people? And I think that representation also matters to young Black women that are coming up under her. You know, I've taught, and I think the first time I called you, Bert, I was in a predominantly Black school, and I text Bert, I was like, yo, do you mind if I share your information in my classroom? You know what I mean? Because it was going to be monumental for those young Black girls to see a successful Black woman doing something that with brands that they could all recognize. You know, I pulled her resume up on the screen, and it wasn't a traditional resume. It had her picture, and it was off to the side. It was a little, you know, it was style, you know, and it was like, what? Who's that? And I was like, this is my friend from high school. And I'm telling them, and, you know, and I think I messaged her like, yo, you mind if I tell him certain stuff? He was like, yeah, go ahead, tell him. And I told them all this stuff. Like, this is how much money she's making. And they're like, I've never had a classroom that quiet. They was like, what? We can do all of that too? Just by learning in your class? I was like, yeah. And look, she looks just like you. You know, she had the tattoo on her neck. And it was like, for them, for young Black girls coming up, just to be able to see somebody like Berta, it makes a difference. You know what I mean? And because she does put out she's in magazines, and she's got her book, and she's not just being successful, you know, behind the scenes, I guess. It's always good to see, you know, Black women doing things that are not the norm. You know, she's not in videos and on reality.
So to your point, sorry not to cut you off, but to your point, another huge part of like my life is like mentoring. And I specifically started mentoring because I wanted little girls of color, not just Black girls, like, you know, Dominican girls, Puerto Rican. I wanted all of them to see another brown woman that's not in like videos or whatever they look up to. I don't know. Like, what I wanted them to see another person that looked like them, that had a, you know, good education, that had a job that she liked, an actual career, and that was still kind of fly, you know? Like, I wanted them to see that, you know, that can be you too, and to let them know that I came from the same place that you came from. So I think that's like a huge point that we should be making to, like, you know, little girls.
Like, that's the selling point, I think, right there. Like, if you go to her page, you know, you go to Roberta's page, she doesn't hide the fact that, you know, she made the transformation she made. But I think it's really telling. And if we can, I'm going to put it in the YouTube video for us, like the before and after picture. Like, if you see the Berta before and then the Berta now, it's like the Berta before is the little girl from an urban environment. And it's like, you'd be like, what? You can go from that to this? It's like, yes, you can. Hard work, education, dedication, drive. You know what I mean? These are the things that you can accomplish. So it's important to see that, you know, like all of our wives are doing great things, you know, in their own respective lanes, you know, and that's like, all right, our daughters are fortunate enough to have women in the house that they can look up to that are amazing, you know. But what about the little girls who don't have that, whose mom is living off the system and not really trying to make it, and she knows there has to be something better? It's like women like Berta that can be that, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's the important part about it.
Dev, go ahead, throw out your question, and I want to circle back to the book. So I want you to dive a little bit more. Tell us about the book, and then we want to hear a little bit about the app, and anything else that you would like to share with our listeners. Go ahead, Dev.
All right, so shout out to you, Roberta, because there's so many superlatives to kind of describe the things that you are and the journey that you went through, and you know the fact that you lost so much weight, and that's a part of your journey and a part of your story. It's major, so I just want to give you a shout out for that. One of the other things, though, that I take from your journey is your transformation pertaining to your mental health. One of the things that I've read, and I'll quote, it says, I saw it was born in the lack of self-care I gave to myself and the lack of self-control I had when eating and reacting. So to the point that you are at now, what were some of the exercises that you used when those triggers may have came up to potentially take you off of where you was going in your journey?
Again, I go back to telling myself that, I did something that I never thought that I would be able to do before. I go back to you know, it's not a bad life. It's just a bad day. I go to, you know, if I have to start over, that's fine. I can start as many times as it takes. And like, I'm huge into like affirmations and things like that, because there's you'll find one that will fit you every single day. So I think it's more of exercising, finding the help that you need to push forward, and not saying like, oh, in this instance, I'm not saying go find like a therapist. I'm saying that you can self-help. Like, you can read things to make yourself feel better. You can find inspiration somewhere. Like, there are small things that you can do every day to push yourself forward, you know? Really, like, God is like in my routines, you know? It's the things that I do consistently, whether I feel good about it or not, I have to do it anyway. Like, I tell people, you know, a lot of times people ask me like, oh, well, you know, how do you consistently meal prep? And, you know, I couldn't work out every day. You know, I don't know how you do that. So I say, well, I don't want to go to work every day either, but I got to do that too. It's just like going to the gym. For me, I put it all in the same like bowl. Like, for me to mentally feel well, I need to find things to read and to draw motivation from and inspiration from. For me to feel well in my body, I need to go to the gym. It's not about like losing weight. It's about making my body feel good, right? And all that ties back to like my mental. It's like, I'm not going to feel good. I might feel guilty if I don't go to the gym today. And really, it's just releasing like any like tension that I have. Like, if I had a bad day at work, I go to the gym and it's like all disappeared. Nice. So I just think that me creating like my routines and not breaking those routines help me a lot. Like with any problems that I have, I'll go to the gym or read some affirmations or make a healthy recipe, and life is a little bit lighter after that.
Dope. So, you know, one of the things I'm all about is life hacks, right? And I know with meal prepping, you know, there's a lot of different things you got to do. What are some cool hacks that you may be giving somebody who actually are trying to do a meal prep? Anything that you can give them as far as pointers?
So simple things you can do, like, is in the prep itself. Like, you can buy containers. Like, you can go to the dollar store and buy containers and just always have them around. So that's not an excuse when you want to take your food to work, or you want to prep your meals, your lunch or your dinner. Just always have them around, and you won't use that as an excuse. Another hack would be to buy fruit and vegetables, right? You buy fruit and vegetables, you use them, you can put them in a smoothie, you can put them in a salad. And if you don't use them, you can put them in the freezer. If you put them in the freezer, then tomorrow you can make a smoothie from the frozen fruit and vegetables that are in your freezer. Like, typically I have like frozen berries, frozen strawberries, lots of frozen spinach. So if I don't have anything to eat and I need something healthy, I can it's literally 60 seconds to grab a bunch of fruit, put it in the bullet and blend it up, and then I have a smoothie. So those are at least two really, really good hacks.
Dope. So favorite fruit?
Favorite food?
Fruit.
Oh, fruit? Lemons. I eat lots of lemons somehow.
Nice.
Okay. All right, don't give them all your secrets. All right, they need to go.
Help. I'm here to help. It's okay.
Yeah, but they need to purchase the book too. So give us the title of the book again, and tell us a little bit about the book, and then where they can find where they can purchase the book at.
Okay, so I have. Sorry, my ring light went out. So there are two. The first one is simply Tabtastic. And then the second one is Tabbalicious. You can find both of them on Amazon. You can just search my name, Roberta Tabb. They'll both come up. Or you could just Google me. Both of them are going to come up in like the immediate search.
Awesome. So tell. I know you mentioned a little bit about the first book, Tabbalicious, right? And so
Tabbtastic, bro.
Taptastic. All right. Well, so tell us a little bit about that one. I know you mentioned a little bit about.
Okay. So simply Tabtastic is like really simple. Most of the most of the recipes are 5 ingredients or less. And the reason I wrote the book was because like I do like during normal times, I would do like meal preps every Sunday for the whole week. And I would video them for Instagram. And people would always ask, you know, what are you cooking? How do you do that? Blah, blah, blah. So I put all of the recipes in a book. Another thing that often came up is, you know, people always ask me about like different diets, like keto and things like that. And I'm like, you just really need to eat healthy. You need to eat simply. Like, you don't need to do all this crazy drastic stuff to lose weight. You just have to be consistent, right? So along with that, I noticed that the way these trends go, every time there's like a new diet or something, you know, there are these crazy expensive wheat germs, you know, different strains, fruits nobody's ever heard of before. Mm-hmm. And I know, me growing up in Pittsburgh, there are certain fruits that I never had a mango until like I moved to like New York, right? Like I never saw like a star fruit. So I say all that to say that all of the food, all of the ingredients in this book are very simple. It's like strawberries, apples, oranges, things that people actually have access to. You know, people that live in urban areas that don't have like the huge, you know, wonderful stores and don't want to spend like, you know, $200 every time they go to the grocery store. Mm-hmm. Very simple foods that anybody can find anywhere. You don't have to go to like a Whole Foods or a health food store to find the ingredients that are in this book. It's very simple. It's very, very, very basic. So that's why I created Simply Taptastic. So Tabbalicious is the second book, and it's along the same kind of like wavelength, but they're more of like indulgent recipes. And I call them that because there's a bunch of recipes that you can kind of like eat as much as you want of, right? So there's like a roasted okra recipe, right? You could eat the entire bag of okra, and it's only going to be like 200 calories. So like what'd you say?
Yeah, I said that sounds good. I need to go ahead and put my order in for the book right now.
So it's things like that. So there are, I mean, just very simple things. Like turkey meatballs, like very simple recipes. There are some juicing recipes as well. But again, it's more of like indulgent, like things you can eat like a lot of, and they don't have like a lot of calories in them. So that's why I made Tabbalicious. Well, and I'm actually working on another one too. So, but those are the first two.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the app that you have.
And hold on, before you get into the app too tough, I want you to talk about, when you talk about the app, because if the listeners and the viewers haven't noticed yet, there's a difference between pursuing a hobby and a passion project. And that's something that we talked about. So what's the difference in you making an entrepreneurial effort out of a hobby or versus doing something that you're truly passionate about? So when you talk about the app, because I think if people haven't figured it out now, that's a passion for you. Health and wellness is something you're passionate about. You know what I mean?
Right. I think that's really important, because a lot of the times, you know, people start businesses or become entrepreneurs because they can't stand working for other people, or they hate their job, or they hate whatever they're doing for like a living. But I don't hate my job. I actually really like what I do. I'm good at it. You know, I've come pretty far from, you know, where I started, but it doesn't like fulfill me. I did notice early on, when I probably my first job as like a designer, I realized that I wasn't fulfilled. I mean, the work that I was doing, it was fun, you know, I got to work with great brands, but it wasn't actually fulfilling. Like I didn't feel like I was giving anything to the world. Like I'm literally just making rich people richer. Like I'm not doing anything for myself, and I'm not doing anything for the world to make it a better place. So I started taking on like these small projects, not necessarily to make money, but because it's a passion. Like I wouldn't, you know, spend hours cooking and creating like recipes for nothing if I didn't really like to do it. So that brings me to the app. And really it was born out of like the pandemic, right? because I've been working this whole time, but I'm working from home. So I'm working from home. I don't have to commute. You know, I don't actually have to get dressed for work. I can't go to the gym. So I have like all of this extra time. I can't go anywhere on the weekend because there's nowhere to go. So I'm like, what can I do? How can I challenge myself? How can I challenge myself and, you know, at the same time, do something that's enriching for other people? And I will say that me paying attention to like my social media during this time, it definitely played a role. When I would post like specific like affirmations of, you know, things that help people get through the week and to get through the day on Instagram, I noticed there's like an uptick on, you know, likes, just like looking at my stats, how many people like shared it or how many people bookmarked it. And I thought, you know, like people are out here suffering. Like it's true. Like I have friends that, you know, just full of anxiety. You know, you look on your timeline, you look on Facebook, people are like severely depressed and they kind of just need a word sometimes because all of the news is bad and they just need a word. So I noticed when I was giving a word, people were really like responding to it. So I was like, okay, what can I do? What can I do to spread this, to spread a word and to also, you know, enrich myself and to teach myself like during this time when I have all this time on my hands. I don't know anything about making apps. I didn't know anything about it at all. I literally Googled how to start. And from then on, like I followed steps, like I registered with the App Store, you know, I downloaded Xcode. And from then on, it was like 3 months of just like every day, like after work, I would like start like doing code. And I have all of like this, I have all this information. I have all of this information like around the internet, right? Because I've been like writing a blog for years. I've like had like an inspirational Instagram for years and years. I have all of these recipes that I've posted, you know, and they're recipes from the book as well. So I have all of this information. I'm like, how can I put it all together in one place where, you know, people can enrich their mind and enrich their bodies at the same time? So that's what I set out to do. And I like, again, it was that you have to be passionate about something to put all the time and effort into doing all that for like, and like, I'm not trying to get like rich. I want to help people. I genuinely want to help people like with my app. I want people to download it. I want them to read affirmations and get my reminders and feel good about themselves. I want them to try a new recipe and find out that, you know, they actually do like okra. They do like sweet potatoes. Like that's what my intention is, to put more good into the universe in such a really, really awful time. And I just think that an app was a really not simple way, but it was a good way to do it while teaching myself something at the same time. So.
Wow. That's amazing. I thought you were going to say that, you know, you had an idea, you reached out to somebody and said, hey, can you build this app for me? So to do it all yourself and learn the code, that is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's amazing. But now it's like, oh, next time there's something hard that I have to do, it's like, I built an app all by myself. Like I totally did that, and I could totally do this too, right? It wasn't easy by any means, but that's another like pin that, you know, I put in my pocket for like next time I think that I'm struggling or I can't do something.
Right. That's that confidence that pushes you and propels you to do the next thing. So love it. I've got a question. This one is probably a curveball. So you're very accomplished, right? You're attractive. And so do you find men to be intimidated by your accomplishments and, you know, and, you know, the whole package? So do you find men are intimidated by that?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. The answer is yes.
Shoot the brothers, man. Yo. Shoot them real quick. Pow. Scared.
So let's talk about it.
Sure. So I don't date very often because that's probably one of the reasons why I don't. But I think that usually, like upon meeting someone, like I don't even tell them, like it's like a rule not even to tell them about like my outside like accomplishments. Like, oh, you know, I'm a web designer, you know, I work at Lacoste, and like that's it. we don't even get to the rest of the stuff, you know? And if that's too much for you, then I'm definitely not sharing the rest of the stuff with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So you feel feels like you gotta almost dumb it down a little bit for guys to kind of.
I don't know if it's dumbing it down, because it's not like, you know, it's not like. No offense to anybody, but like, it's not like the guys that I go out with are like, you know, bums, you know. It's not like they don't have jobs and like they're not accomplished in their own right. You know what I mean?
All the dudes that you dated and dumped are listening now, and they like, yo, she calling me a sucker on this world-renowned podcast, man. Because first off, we are international. We got people listening all over the world. So now, all you gentlemen that got played by Berta, just know there are people all over the globe. You want to go ahead and call out some names?
There are not many. Like, if they got played, they didn't even know. You let them down like so gently, you just disappear. It's fine.
They were so stupid, even though they was getting played. That's a
and they probably played themselves, right?
That's dope.
Look, you give anybody enough rope, they'll hang themselves. It's fine.
Pretty much.
Right, I can agree to that one.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, and speaking about, you know, that kind of, I don't know if it's a good segue, but I think it's something that we want to talk about. The blackmail vote. And I think this kind of speaks about to the mentality of things. Like, we're talking about how we have to cater certain things. We as a people have to hear things in a certain way in order to resonate.
Sorry, can I cut you off for a second?
Yes, certainly.
Sorry. You asked me the question, but like, you guys should answer the question as well.
Oh.
Like,
I like that.
Like, how, I know you guys are like married and stuff, but like, why is that the case, that, you know, women that are like, you know, accomplished or, you know, attractive, why is it that it's difficult, or that there's such an issue with intimidation, or if it's competition, maybe, I don't know. Like, I did date a guy that was very competitive with me for some reason, and we weren't even like doing the same thing. So what are your thoughts before we go into the other thing? I'd really like to know what your thoughts are.
Like that. Flip it.
Keith, go ahead. Handle that, Keith. Yeah. Handle that, Keith.
I'm gonna let Tiny Circle.
No, you first.
Nah, Keith, that's on you, bro. Nah, Keith, still good.
Nobody wants to answer.
Now, I'll say that, you know, I think, you know, guys, there are a lot of guys who really don't know themselves and aren't confident in who they are, right? And so to see someone, well, I'll say not confident in who they are and haven't accomplished the things that they want to accomplish, right? And to see someone else, and especially a female, because I think society paints this picture or has taught men that you have to be a certain place. You have to be the breadwinner. You got to be the one that's bringing in the money and make more money than the woman.
About strength. It's about strength, though. It's about strength. So like and I think that's where you kind of going with it with this. I think it's a strength thing. So society has taught all young men, you have to be the strongest. You have to be you have to be the most indestructible version of a person walking the earth. You know, so when you come across someone, and think about it, like, oh, you hit like a girl, you play like a girl. We're always taught that girls are the inferior in terms of accomplishment or strength. We're always taught that they are the weaker version of that. So if you come across a female who is as strong as you, or as accomplished as you, or more accomplished than you, or more, what's the word? I don't want to say dominating, but just more powerful, let's just say that, and
just have a bigger presence,
right? A bigger presence. Right. That's a good way. Like, if you come across a female that has, I think guys struggle when they come across a female with a bigger presence. They don't know how to deal with it. So the natural male reflex is to be a bigger presence. So like, that's where that competition thing probably came in with that guy. Like, he felt like, yo, wait a minute, she can't beat me. I'm not about to get beat by a girl. I don't care if it is my girl. I can't get beat by a girl. So he's got to compete to try to be better. And it's whack. Like, I think the three of us, we're not cut from that cloth, so we don't do the whole, oh, I gotta outshine my wife thing. It's like, nah, if my wife is doing great or something, man, hey, you go ahead and kill that, and I'll be there to support you with it as best as I can. I don't think any of us feels if we have to, dim our wives' shine for the sake of our own ego. But I think a lot of guys struggle with that. I know we all know guys. We're talking offline about a few guys I know that are like that, and it's like, them dudes.
Yeah, I think that's a
brother Mustafa.
I think the point in all of that is the fact that, the thinking about the three of us, right? And so we talked about in the first episode how we linked up when we went to college and we stayed friends. But I think that is a part of our characteristics of who we are as men that also, I think, brought us together, because we were around a lot of guys, alpha males. When I say we were around a lot of guys, our crew was probably 60 deep in college.
Yeah.
If 60 deep plus, right? And yeah. So so I think, we were able to be ourselves. We were in touch inside. And we were being ourselves. We weren't playing somebody else, we weren't playing this character way or be. He was scrappy dude, but that was just him, right? Walt was he was always ready to fight, but that was Walt, right?
Walt, really?
Yo, y'all are
you didn't know
right
that?
Now.
You didn't.
Listen.
So, all right. So here's the thing, right? Hold on. Before Berta goes, before y'all get too far down this rabbit hole, first off, remember Berta said she lived a bit of a different life. So the foolishness that I was doing even back in Pittsburgh wasn't a lot, but like the fights here and there. Bert, I guess you don't remember that fight down at the Continue.
Down at the what?
See? Yeah, it was down Lorimer Ave. It was a club down Lorimer Ave we used to go down to. Yeah. See, so she wouldn't know that part of me, but that's stuff like Tina and all them, they actually were clowning me for the same thing the other day.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Tiny circles, Dev.
Yo.
Jump in.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's the ego thing. I think Walt and Derek said it best. You kind of alluded to it, Roberta, the people that you're dating, the men that you're dating, they have obviously a certain status, or maybe they may be of a certain ilk. So, they probably...
Or they think they are.
So they probably interacting with women who may look at them in a pedestal type of perspective, where your perspective is not like that. Your perspective is, you're a boss, I'm a boss. So anything you can do, I can do as well. Maybe I can do it better. And when they interact with somebody like you, their pride is hurt a little bit, and maybe that could be what it is.
Do you think that I think that sometimes guys take the term being the provider?
Oh yeah, they get a mix up. Oh yeah, easily, because
in the word and stuff. Sometimes they take the word about being a provider for the house too far.
Literal.
But that's a deeper dive anyway, because when you're with a mate, you got to understand and get to a point you recognize that whatever roles you're good in and that you operate in best, that should be the role that you should be actually acting in. So if the woman actually is the better provider monetarily, then let her operate in that, because that's where she fits best, as opposed to the man who may be a better nurturer.
But that's when, I think that's when a man's manliness, I guess, is tied to his monetary wealth, or tied to anything physical. You know what I'm saying? Or superficial, rather. So it's just like, when you have that, and this is no knock on any dude because I know some dudes, that's just how they feel like it has to be this way. I have to be the leader, the breadwinner in every capacity of the house, and it works better for me. And they find women that fit into that lane, and it works for them. And that's cool if that works for you. But I think, to speak to what you're saying, Bert, it's kind of like when that's what you want, but you allow visuals to control who you date or who you interact with without knowing the person you're with, that kind of leads to that problem, right? So if you see a pretty woman walking down the street, like, oh man, she's fine, and you completely forget the fact that like you want somebody that you can dominate, whether it's your ego that has told you for years or however long that you always dominate every woman that you're with, you don't even think to look for that type of characteristic in a female. You just see somebody you're attracted to, so they go after it, and then they go after it, and then they come across somebody who's not like that, and it's like, what? She's whack, or she'll never have anybody because of this, because of that. And it's like, nah, bro, you just went after the wrong thing. Like, she's not the one for you.
We're so old now, like 40 almost. You guys are probably 40 already.
Oh, shade.
I'm just saying that we're
not
so
40.
old to still be
So
playing that. Like, you're
Try.
right. That was not a diss. I'm just saying.
But see, but here's the thing. There's a lot of people, they don't grow up, right? They don't have conversations. They don't do that reflection, right? And they go through life being satisfied with who they are as a person. And I've had conversations with people, and they've said, well, I am who I am. There's no changing me. There's nothing that says as you get older that you have to stay who you are. In fact, you should change, right? Your experiences should make you a better person. And, and I think people should, I think Walt Devin and I had talked about this at one point. I coined the term emotional footprint, right? So what type of emotional footprint are you leaving behind, right?
I like that.
So if you go back and look and see that you've left a trail of destruction behind, or a place where somebody's not speaking good about you and who you are, or they don't feel good about you, then you probably need to change some things about yourself.
But see, that's the thing where the male ego comes in. It's like guys can go through that destruction, and create a whole trail of chaos behind them, and not see any fault in their own. You know what I mean?
Women too, though. Women can do that too. I think it's a two-way street.
But I think when it comes to guys, what makes it with guys a bit different in terms of it's how we position ourselves in society, right? In our mind, we position ourselves as the leaders, the dominant species, the dominant gender. So as a result, if I'm creating a ton of destruction, it's like, who's going to really check me for my destruction? You know what I'm saying? Whereas with women, it's like, if she's creating a trail of destruction, it's not as damaging until you're in an intimate situation with her. Guys can be in a very non-intimate situation and still create a whole level of chaos. You know what I mean? Whether it's emotional, whether it's physical or whatever. Like, my past ain't been the greatest. Y'all four know that. Berta, you don't know as much about it because, from college, it was way worse. I did a lot of dumb things, and a whole lot of dumb things. And as a result, it's like Derek said, at one point I had to do some looking back, and I was like, man, I can't keep living this way. It's ridiculous. I think the way I was, the path I was traveling, the route I was taking, it was terrible. So as a man, my wife had a lot to do with that. God had a lot to do with that. If it wasn't for my wife and this marriage, I probably wouldn't be the person that I'm trying to be. Let's put it like that. Cause I know I'm not there. It wouldn't be the person that I'm trying to be, but again, that speaks to the type of person that I am, and that the type of gentleman that these two are. I couldn't hang with them if, when I come to Atlanta, Dev's like, yo, Walt, let's go to the strip club. And, I got this chick around the corner we're going to go see. And he's constantly putting me in these compromising situations. I couldn't hang with him like that. You know what I mean? Because even the knucklehead friends that we do have that operate like that, Dev and Derek will tell you, like, nah, chill, man. We got them with us. Or they'll just go off and do their own thing. They don't bring the foolishness too tough around us, because I think most of our friends, and they can whether agree or not, most of our friends who are still kind of out there, they don't bring the foolishness to us to put us in that bad space.
Right.
Right. They keep their dirty laundry at their home.
Right.
Do we answer your question?
For the most part. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, that's kind of what I thought anyway, but like it can't, in my mind, it couldn't be something as simple as just being like ego, you know, but
Really
I guess
is.
it is.
It really
I
is.
guess it is.
There's nothing like the male ego is probably the most fragile thing
Crystal
ever.
shaking her head.
No, and I totally agree with that because I've been in situations where, and like, I mean, I come off a bit as a character, but I'm usually pretty tame. So, because I know egos are so fragile, right? But even with not even like being my full self, it's still like, you know, oh, I'm intimidated. Well, they don't say that, but it still has to be something. So that's why I asked. I thought that was really interesting.
No, it's not really complex.
No.
Well, you know, I want to ask. I want to kind of. I don't know how to put this, but for you fellas, how do you feel about the fact that that Berta said that she, you know, may not say all that she says when she meets a guy or
That's a good question.
You know, because I'm thinking, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking
We lost Crystal.
Yeah, we lost Crystal.
Yeah,
I think I know what she was getting at, and I can hopefully kind of answer it to start. I don't see that as being a problem because I think that you know, you want to genuinely know who this person is.
Yeah, because
before all of the accolades, because now it's like, all right, well, if you didn't know I had all these things, you know, if you knew I had all these things, would you really be rocking with me because it's just me, or would you be rocking with me because of all these things I accomplished?
Stop muting me, Walt.
Well, you was jumping like your internet messed up. So when you jumped in talking, it was late. You're gonna be a lag, Crystal. I'm trying to save the edits, man.
I don't care.
Well, thinking about all that work you got to do with the
hold on.
Like I can't.
Don't edit nothing. Don't edit nothing.
Because it was like eep op.
Right. No, seriously.
Wait, hold on. Let Crystal finish.
Before it goes out again, let me say something.
Yeah,
so what my thing is, I don't think that it's a good idea, especially, I don't know, Roberta, if you are wanting to be in a serious relationship right now, but I'm just thinking, of course, with me being over 40, you know, I am.
It was not good.
She's the old lady of the crew.
In a serious relationship. Shut up. In a serious relationship. And so I am one of them people that I'm not going to really hide, you know, I'm going to bring the real me to the table because I don't have time for them to find out something about me later and not like it. So I need to know right away. So if you're wanting to be in a real relationship and want to really date someone, why leave out the things, your most prized possession and the things that you are most proud of about yourself? So, you know, when you're meeting someone, that's a great thing because you should want someone that is like, you know, pushing you and standing behind you and wanting to see you do more.
But see, so Crystal, I think to speak to your point, like what you're saying is what a mature grown man should want. Man. He should want to know all of the greatness in a woman that he's interested in being with, because that's going to either inspire him, excite him, or make him want to motivate him, right? So, you know, real quick, like when I first saw my wife, she was so different from all the other women that I had dealt with in, you know, and especially in recent years. She was so different, and she was clearly cut from a different cloth. That wasn't like I talked about her for like 7 days straight before I even said anything to her. It was just like she was so different. And I didn't have to wonder, like, is she successful? She exuded success. Like her whole persona was success and greatness. Mm-hmm. So I love that about her. But that was me trying to, you know, kick outside my coverage, you know. But I think what Berta's saying is the guys you're gonna come across, and I think we can all agree to this, you're gonna come across a lot of guys who are not ready for that. Because this world has kind of positioned a lot of males to be able to operate just kind of freely, you know, and do whatever. It's like
operate freely. That's good.
But I mean, it really is what it is. Like, you know, you can be out. You could be. I remember, you know, I forget, you know, when I first heard it, but I remember somebody. It was one of the first times I got to South Carolina. Somebody said, you know, that their grandmother, some girl said that her grandmother told her that a man's gonna be a man. And I was like, well, what does that mean? You know, and we had the discussion about it. And it was basically along the terms of like, you can expect a man to cheat. You can expect a man to be out there and do all of these different things, you know, and it's kind of like, just let him do it as long as he doesn't bring it home to the house, as long as there's no babies, no diseases, no problems, no crazy, you know what I mean? And, I was shocked by it. But then as I moved through my experiences, I saw a lot more of that. And I saw a lot more of that mentality. And I've hung out with guys, and I know guys whose wives have said that verbatim to them, like, just don't bring nothing to the house. And it's like, wait a minute, are you basically condoning him being out there in the streets? And dudes, they love it and they operate in that. So I think society has created that. And then you have women who are more excited by a married guy than they are a single guy, because they could send a married guy home. You know what I mean? Or the married guy, maybe, and maybe this is something that y'all can ask, not saying that y'all have ever messed with married dudes, but I'm saying, like, I don't know if it's because they feel like it creates a different level of worth in them. I'm so attractive that a married dude is ready to mess up his house with me. I don't know, but for whatever reason, it seemed like that was you put that ring on, it turned into a whole new selling point. Like, oh, wait a minute, he married? Like, maybe it was like, that was evidence, hey, he can commit. I don't know. But those
never have, never will. Like, that kind of man is like even more disgusting than any other kind of man.
So that's what I mean. So again, like, that's you being the woman that you are, but there are tons of females who are like, yeah, nah, I'm cool with that. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why not?
And unfortunately, it's dating right now mainly for women. It's a lot like sales, right? So it's a numbers game, right? So you may have to go through so many in terms of, finding out who this person really is before you get to the one that truly wants nothing but the best for you. Right. And I think that's when when somebody can genuinely be happy for you. So it's unfortunate that you can't necessarily be yourself or share everything about you up front, and someone without someone, feeling some type of way, right? You should be able to share everything about you and then see a true, genuine, I guess, push and that person wanting nothing but the best for you. And I think when you find that person, or when you encounter that person, then that's something that you should be willing to explore.
Right.
Yeah.
But does that mean that right is I think there's a lot to be said that guys don't have to do that. We're not really conditioned to believe that in terms of our women, right? Like, we're not. Right. And whether you could attribute it to systemic racism and structural destruction of the home, whatever you want to call it, because whether it's a thing where you didn't see a man doing that for a woman in your house, or whether you just look at TV and that's how you see or think that's how you're supposed to treat a woman, society does not teach us to operate in that capacity, Derek. So,
right. Which is why I said it's a sale. It's like sales, right? Because you're gonna have some time. You're gonna experience a lot of the guys that like you're describing, but you're gonna have a few out there that's like you, me, and Dev.
I think it's funny that the two married men is talking about dating and single life.
Right.
I think all you guys are men. For me, men are men. All of the points of view. Men are men. All of the points of view are relevant here. I mean, because it all kind of leads back to the same thing anyway. So
right. So I think I can speak for Dev and Keith Killjoy over here when I say that my foolishness. My foolishness was probably a bit more out there than theirs when I was living the single life. And I think
But you were younger. Like, I don't even want to hear any like tales from like, oh, I was
you won't hear those. You won't hear those. You won't hear those because 30. One, Devin's been married like his whole life. So and did I tell you, Berta, did you know that Devin is like one of my best friends, right? like one of my best friends. Like, you know how tight me and Maya were, right? For those people who don't know, Maya was a friend of Berta and I, was like our sister, you know, and she passed in 2009. Really, you know, really, really, really special woman to so many people, right? So, and me and Maya were super tight, like kindergarten, go all the way back to kindergarten. Devin is up there in that category, right? Did you I know you didn't know that, Berta, but I'm telling you, right? This dude didn't even invite me to his wedding.
I did
Oh
not.
my God! Here we go.
Every opportunity that I get, I'm gonna bring it up. And now that we're officially on the podcast, and I had
Here we go.
I'm putting it out there.
Listen. Say your piece, then I'll say mine.
It's never any peace with that situation. This is always on site, man. There's no peace with this, bro. I don't want to talk about it. We're talking about something different. I just thought I'd put it out.
You brought it up though. Like how would you?
Here we go.
This will be the second time. I think we talked about this on episode 2.
On this podcast.
So this is really we need to take you. You need to do a blue table talk or something.
Blue table talk.
Yeah, I said this, Robert. I said the same thing. He needs therapy.
We need therapy.
Blue table
Let's
talk.
go to couples therapy together.
No, that's not gonna happen. But
Bro,
for the record, there wasn't a lot of people at my wedding.
Not a lot of people.
But you know, in Walt's defense, I did use his crib the night before, and
he used it under the premise of
I used it.
He lied to me. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. He lied to me. He's like, yo, Walt, Shawnee's got the girls at the crib. I'm really not trying to be around all them. Can I crash the crib?
That actually wasn't a lie, but
all right, but that's what he said. He was like, can I crash at the crib tonight? I was like, yeah, of course, bro. Come on. Right. So he comes to the crib, Dad. It was you, Crystal. You and all the girls. It was the night before the wedding.
It wasn't all the girls because all of our friends didn't know.
It wasn't all
that's what he told me. That's what he told me.
It was probably me, her mom, and her sister.
He said all the girls. So that if he would have said her mom and her sister, he probably would have spilled the beans.
So all is subjective. So
exactly. Let's look at Roberta.
That's a lie. Is that not a lie? Is that not a lie?
Do we have time to tell the story? Do we have?
I just told the story. I just told the story.
Devin, tell the story. We do have time.
I need to hear it now. I need to hear it now.
All right.
So he lied.
Yes, we got time.
He lied and came to the crib after being there for like 15 hours. He was like, "Oh yeah, Walt. By the way, I'm getting married tomorrow." What?
I don't remember saying it like that, but
it was. That's how I heard it. Like, yeah. By the way, I'm getting married tomorrow.
The CD scratched and everything.
Go ahead, Roberta. All right. So
tiny circles, Deb. You tell the story.
All right. So for the most part, that's pretty much what happened. You know, when my wife and I were getting married.
Not lying.
When my wife and I was getting married, it was very low key. We didn't want anyone to know.
There was some people there that wasn't even that tight.
There was only there because it was actually during like church service. Like it wasn't like one of those
5 people there. That's the smallest church in the history.
Can you let him tell the story, sir?
No, did we not go over? I am bitter about this. Jeez.
You need to have a vow renewal.
This is my kid's godfather. He's the godfather to my oldest.
Here's a shorter than long. All right, so yes, I stayed over at Walt's house under some false pretenses.
Lies.
Because
where's the candy birds mean? Lies.
It was a lie. It was a lie. But I did it because we didn't want anyone to know at the time. You know, we was in college. We were shacking up. We wanted to do it the right way. Right. And plus we had a daughter. So it was one of those things. It was like, no, we need to do this right.
Don't try to throw the Jesus into it and make me feel bad about
I'm just telling you what it is.
That is the truth.
Well, listen, let me tell you the story.
You didn't think Walt would understand? You didn't think Walt would understand?
It wasn't a matter of Walt not understanding. It was a matter of we was both under the impression like, yo, we're not really going to tell nobody. This is how it was going to be.
Yeah.
And that's just what it was. But I knew I needed to leave the crib, and I didn't have nowhere else to go. So.
Made the whole thing worse.
Why just say that?
That just made it worse. I only stayed at your house because I didn't know nobody else.
Well, I knew a lot of people. But
you could have stayed at the bus station.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been a good look. That wouldn't have been a good look. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, yes, not one of my finer moments, but it happened.
Every opportunity I get, I give Deb a hard time about this. This is part of our relationship.
I see that.
And I feel as if this is necessary. It's therapeutic.
Listen, so listen. So I think Roberta had a good solution, right?
Therapy?
Well, therapy one for you, Walt, but then do a renewal, a vow renewal, and invite Walt. Actually, let Walt be the best man.
No, I want to officiate.
Exactly.
I want to officiate.
That's what I was going to suggest.
That's the only way we can fix this. I have to officiate the vow renewal.
No.
So let's just keep it all the way a buck and just be clear. Walt is not officiating.
Exactly.
It's not happening.
Well, he'll just attend. He'll be the best man this time.
Yeah,
I want to officiate.
No, Walt, you're going to be the best man.
Derek, whose side are you on? You didn't know either.
I'm in the middle.
We were all the crew. Don't be in the middle.
The whole crew couldn't know.
Okay, let's get back to my problems.
I feel like stealing juice right now. And Dev,
Roberta said, back to her.
Dev is Bishop.
I'm the special guest. You guys talk all the time.
Right.
Not Bishop. You can't make him.
This is Walt's fault. This is the one who.
It is Walt's fault.
100% my fault. That's okay. Berta says she wanted to know the story. Anyways, but as you can tell, Berta, the male ego is very fragile, and my ego is clearly still hurt. But
okay, my last question. The consensus is put all the cards on the table at first, or no? Because let me make one point after I say this. You can technically Google me and find out anything you want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But no dude is going to do that.
A few have, which I think is actually interesting.
They have, but they were never really gonna be serious about you. Let's put it like that. And the reason why I say it,
then what's the point?
The point of Googling you?
Yeah.
Because they might have felt like something was different. It's like, wait a minute, she doesn't seem like a normal person, or I've never seen something. So they just kind of want to know a little bit. It's like, it's something about her to them, something about them. I mean, I'm not saying like she's
wait. So I've got a question. So the guys,
I Google everybody.
So that's what I was going to ask. So
but see, that's what I'm saying. Like
the guys that did Google you, were there similarities in those type of guys?
I think. Well,
if you rank the Googlers, would they rank at the bottom of the list?
No, they rank closer to the top of the list.
It's interesting.
So Roberta,
I feel like they're more serious. Sorry.
So why don't you just treat it on a case-by-case basis?
Because that's what I've been doing.
I was
under the impression that you didn't do it. I thought like every dude you encountered, it was like, okay, I'm not going to tell him anything. I thought that was the rule.
That's what I thought too.
No. Well, I think I don't actually. I probably went on like 2 dates, like 2 different guys this year, right? And it's like October, right? So it's not like I date so frequently, but when I did try to date, it's like the way that I was thinking about it, it was like, oh, well, maybe if, we get past the first date, then maybe I'll tell them more about myself, but it usually doesn't go further than that. So why would I just put everything on the cards on the table at first?
But see,
you know what? It's you. No, I'm kidding.
Nah, I say put it out there.
That's the truth. Look, if that's the truth, that's the truth. Okay,
but no,
I can take it.
But I say put it out there because if you put it out there to them, you get to know how serious for real they are. Like, and that's when you'll find whether or not this dude is of a different caliber or this the same run of the mill joker that you've been coming across. Like, if you put it all out there, I'm not saying you spend an hour bragging on yourself, but you just, through casual conversation, you're saying like, all right, so what do you do? Hey, I do a lot of things. I wrote a couple of books. I got an app.
Still sounds very braggy. It sounds very
but it's how you say it. It's how you say it. It's like, but it's how you say it.
I got a couple of books. I wrote an app.
Roberta, you did shock Walt up a little bit when he was like, yo, how many
times you've been at people? I said 3 times.
Like,
5 actually.
5, but nobody's counting.
5 actually.
I was under the impression that you guys deal in facts, though. I was under the impression that you guys deal in facts, right?
Facts.
Well, we do. That's just Walt. Walt messed up.
See how he throws me under the bus? This is why I'm going to bring up the whole wedding story every time.
Therapy.
There we go.
So Roberta, I agree. I think you should just be yourself, right? And let the conversation happen naturally, right? And so it may lead to you sharing all those things, or it may not. So don't feel like you actually have to just put it all out there, because it could come across like you're bragging. But you know, but what you should see and take in those moments are when you're sharing, right? What's that response? What type of response are you getting, right? Are they lighting up, or are they, are they kind of retreating? How are they responding? Are they responding in a competitive way? Well, are they one-upping you every time you share an accomplishment?
That's it right there.
You feel them out.
That's what I would say. I would say, because I think that's the only way to truly tell if they're genuine. Or they one-upping you every time? Because, I mean, we know how the game is played. Like, a dude's gonna sit there and seem like he's super crazy enthused by it if he thinks that's going to get him closer to the next goal of whatever his is, right? If I'm super enthused, but all I care about is some slide off, I'm like, oh yeah, what? That's great. Man, that's beautiful. Take me to your house and show me your People magazines. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what dudes
wait.
Am I lying?
No,
People magazine
Correct.
quotations,
right? But that's what I'm saying. Am I lying though? That's what dudes will do.
No, because some dudes will think of it as a conquest.
Right. I gotta look, man.
All of these things are correct. All of these things are
accomplished.
Right. And it's like, this is a big check for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so some dudes do it. But I think, like, you can tell through, like you said, Berta, in the beginning, give somebody enough rope, they're gonna hang themselves. So if he's constantly has to one up you, that's gonna be, of course, a telltale sign. Like,
and I think
if you put all that out there,
your conversation goes in that direction where you're talking about all the things, like if he's like, tell me something about yourself, or what do you like to do, then of course I would say you would probably, talk about that type of thing. So, but
I mean, and that's what I mean. Like, so if you put all that out there and he's like, yeah, it's kind of braggy, his ego might be a little too fragile for you. You know what I'm saying? Or if you put it all out there and dude's like, really, that's cool. But then you control the interaction from that point forward. Like, if he can deal with you controlling the interaction and the conversation and the entire relationship, I think that might be what could separate them.
I just want to point out that I didn't bring up this kind of stuff. Like, this wasn't. I didn't bring.
Yeah, that was me.
To my therapy session here because of me. Okay.
Right. That was
have therapy with tiny circles, man. Everybody getting it, yo.
Well, now you can add you visited podcasts to your.
Yep, a crazy podcast.
Yeah. So, I think the wonderful thing is about this. So we had other things to discuss, but I think the conversation was great. So I think getting to know you, Roberta, hearing about all the wonderful things that you have done. We mentioned last week with our last or our first guest that it's good to really get to know people, right? What type of points of connection do I have with this person? And so now, Roberta won't just be someone who book they've purchased or someone whose app they're using. Now they get to know a little bit more about Roberta. And so I think we end the podcast today, on that note.
So we don't get to talk about
Let me say one more thing. Let me just say one more thing. I just want to say that since Walt invited me on the podcast, I have to tell you guys that Walt and I had one class together.
Woo, child, that could have went so many other directions. I want to say, Lord knows.
For real. Nah, true story. Berta was like intimidating in high school, man.
Okay, but let me finish. So we had one class together. It was African American Studies.
With Miss King.
Oh. In Miss King's class, right? I think he was a senior and I was a junior. And he was so nice to me. He was a football player. And like me.
I wasn't a football player. I was just nice.
Weren't you?
No, I played basketball. I was it.
Okay, so you were basketball.
He was
an athlete.
He was a dumb job.
Right. It doesn't actually matter. The point that I'm making is that, like, I was like 300 pounds in high school, and he was so nice to me. Like, every time he saw me, he would just so gentle and so nice. I just had to throw that out there.
So now,
that's my memory. That's my memory of Walt, like in high school.
And I swear it was like Berta was so intimidating, you know. And if you talk to her, it's like she's really not that mean. Like, but if you saw her from down the hallway, like, yo, you better quit playing, man. Berta might stab you, yo. For real, for real. Look, Berta, the picture that you use for your before and after, you have on a blue sweatshirt and those Dickies, right? Isn't that the picture that you use for the before and after? Isn't that it, Berta?
I hate Walt.
Oh my
Berta, am I lying?
I don't know.
Roberta, were you shanking people in high school?
No, listen, no, I'm serious.
Berta was about that action.
Berta has a before.
Shank somebody, okay?
She has a before and after picture that she uses, and the before picture is Berta in a navy blue sweatshirt and some Dickies. And to me, that is the perfect image of do not play with Berta. She might cut you. But then when you talk to her, it's like, oh, she's really not that mean. Like, she's super nice. But on the exterior, it's like until you got to know her, it was like, yo, down the hallway. Like Berta was like, cross the hall, man. Quit playing. Stop. You don't want those problems. Like,
I walked down the hall and they split. They split apart. It was like that.
Listen, she had
Moses part in the Red Sea.
She was the only black girl in school that had the piercing right here in the bottom of her lip. It was like she was different. It was like, yo, don't play, man. Berta might hurt you. And then you get to know her.
Roberta, was Walt intimidating? Did he look intimidating?
I was like,
he was the nicest guy. He had like a great smile. He was always smiling and like joking around. He was so nice.
No,
Crystal, I'm 5'5", dude. I'm not intimidating nobody.
That has nothing to do with seeming intimidating.
Listen, he's 5'5" now. He was 5'2" back then. So,
oh my word, Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez.
He was
cool.
See, I'm not saying that one.
He was popular though. That was important in high school.
And that's what I'm saying. See, that people like that can be intimidating.
Nah, so all right, so here was my thing, right? When I first got to school, and then I know we need to probably wrap it up, and I'll tell you this real quick. So when I first got to school, like Berta said, like we had neighborhood schools, right? And the neighborhood that school was in, I wasn't from that neighborhood. We weren't from that neighborhood. So they didn't really take kindly to that at that first year. Like she wasn't there my first year. So it was like I had to be real low key about it. I didn't want to be there. And then as time went on, I made friends and things got to be so much better for me. And it was like, you know what? I made the best out of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't always happy. There was times where it was like I hated it. But it was like in Miss King's class too, I was always happy because Miss King was like, that was the safe haven right there, man. If you was in her room, you couldn't have no beef with nobody. She was like the best teacher ever. If I could be half the teacher that lady was, man. I went to go see Miss King.
Believe in yourself.
Nah, bro. Miss King set the bar high.
Tiny circles, Walt.
Listen, when I tell you Evelyn King set the bar so high.
Positive affirmations, right?
Listen,
Roberta, we gotta work.
Evelyn King set the bar so high. Like she is a great woman to this day.
Yeah.
Like I go visit her when I go home. I went to go visit her, like to go check on her.
That's dope.
Like, that's I if I can get to half of that level, I feel like I made it. She's great, man.
You'll get there, Walt.
Shut up, Derek.
You can do it.
Yeah. We believe that.
We believe in you.
Right.
Berta, thank you.
Don't give up.
Yo, Roberta.
No, this was lots of fun. Thanks, guys. It was fun.
Hey, man, we appreciate you.
Yes.
All right. So to our listeners, you are in for a treat. But thank you for rocking with us, Roberta. Thank you for taking the time to share about yourself.
Roberta, where can they find you at?
Yeah. Where can they find
Sorry?
you? What's your social media?
Find you at?
I am the Roberta Show everywhere. Or you can just Google me. It's Roberta Tabb, Tabb.
See, humble brag.
Google me, baby.
You can.
Google me, baby.
The whole page. It's the whole page.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
We're gonna put that on the I'm changing.
yo,
I had a whole
Ken,
graphic made up. I'm changing it.
It's you.
The title is gonna be Google me, baby.
I'm
Google
changing it. Google me. This is
Love
the
it.
Google
Put that in someone's
edition.
phone once. I put that for my phone number. I put Google me.
Yeah, see?
Oh my
It
God.
is me.
Listen,
Maybe it is me.
listen. So yeah, listen, people. Thank you. In everything you do, take positivity with you.
Peace out. Peace out.
Right. Bye, guys.